Welcome to Motivational Monday. This is Fed Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today, I want to discuss two brothers that were friends of mine growing up. One became a huge executive, the other one became an addict. But before we start, make sure to like, subscribe, and do share in this presentation if you find value in it. Okay, so this is the story. I have two friends. They happen to have been brothers, very close in age. One became a successful executive, marrying himself off to a wonderful family, building himself a wonderful family. Everything looks, fantastic. Worked very hard to get there. And the other one became an addict and unfortunately almost killed himself twice, so it's a very unfortunate sign. Now, I'm not talking about duress, emotional, psychological, any kind of major stuff. I'm not passing judgment on anybody. I definitely get it. There are people that go through emotional cycles. It's either chemical or whatever this balance is that leads them across this way. And it's a chain of events, right, that lead us to these places. But I would argue that there's one attitude or behavior or belief, all three of them, that create this victim attitude that then creates people that don't succeed in life. Now, someone who's been victimized, you know it, you've seen it, okay? If you've ever been a part of a sales team or if you ever participated in sports, someone who gets really angry, says it's not fair. I could have hit those sales targets if it wasn't for them, if I got better leads, if this was better, if marketing was better, if advertising was better, if they did their job, then I would be able to succeed. It's always them. It's always someone else. The power is in someone else's hands, not in their hands. And that is a victim mentality. Now, they believe that life is there against them, not to help them, not as opportunities, but very negative. Everything is just so negative. Victim mentality is just one big negative fest, okay? It's not fair. It's this is not good enough. Everything is dark. Everything is not, good. Everything is just ba, 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 ba. And they've given up the power in order for them to just accept themselves in the moment and accept their shortcomings in order to take in what they possibly can't take in at the moment. And they lead themselves in further into something called entitlement. Now, once you've gotten into the entitlement, you then have arrogance. You are not a giver. You then become a taker into the extreme role, and then the cycle just repeats itself. Now, it's beliefs, it's attitudes, it's behaviors that then reinforce themselves, and you actually create these type of scenarios in your life that reinforce these very things that you have already set into an attitude, then becomes a belief, and then to undo a belief, it takes that much more work, and the cycle just becomes worse and worse. And this is a classical story. This is not the first story. There's many textbook stories of people that go through adversity in lives, growing up in a home where the father is a drunk or the mother wasn't there or some sort of adversity. One child becomes super successful, the other one becomes not, okay? And as a result, it's whether or not they've victimized themselves. Now, I'm not passing any judgment on anybody. This is definitely something that these type of people need the most amount of compassion because they've been through so much, and unfortunately, they may not have the tools in order to overcome it. Now, the question is will you get the tools to overcome it? Will you galvanize in your situation to take control of the situation? Now, we could, as a trader, this is just like, and you've seen it. I've seen traders around me who take the keyboard, smash the screen, throw tantrums like little children, like as if they're 4-year-olds and something didn't go their way in kindergarten. And you've seen these kids, right? You've seen the 4 or 5-year-old that throws a tantrums. Well, you could do that at 26. You could do that at 56, okay? You could do it at any possible age. And it's just being that child at that moment. And what these people need the most is compassion. Now, how do you get out of a victim mentality? How do you break that behavioral reinforcement and just being blah? Number one, you take extreme responsibility. I'm talking to you. Yes, I'm talking to you in front of me. You have to take extreme responsibility. It's up to you. No one's taking anything away from you. People have been through ridiculous adversities through the time and space of history. And some people have galvanized it and used it as a platform in order to them move forward as opposed to staying in the mud and staying stuck in past experiences. You can control it. You can control it. You have the power in you to take responsibility. And it takes responsibility to be a giver, not to be a taker. It takes that consciousness of whether or not I'm being subjugated to something around me, whether I'm taking control. Now, you have to have an awareness of what environment you're in, whether you can control it or whether you cannot control it, right? If you're in an environment that you can't control, like I'm not going to be Michael Jordan. There's just no way. I'm not built. I don't have the frame. I don't have the piece goods in order to be Michael Jordan. It's just, I have to accept that. Now, I could become a basketball enthusiast. I could become the best player in my class. I could play maybe junior college football or basketball in that example, but I will never become Michael Jordan. That's an acceptance I have to do. But in my situation, in my limitation of who I am, I could become the best version of myself in that situation. That may not be good enough for someone who's a victim. To someone who's not a victim, that may be good enough. And not only is it good enough, they will find things in their lives that they're good at, and they'll excel more than anybody else in that area. Number two, it takes self-care and empathy. You have to accept the fact that I'm not Michael Jordan. I have to be empathetic with that and console myself and be okay with it. I've got to love myself at a certain degree. And it takes a victim mentality is that they don't love themselves, is that they don't know how to be compassionate to themselves. They don't have to talk themselves up. There was never a parent there, or never an adult who gave that to that child inside of them. And that's why they have to do it themselves. Number three, they have to set boundaries for themselves, not for other people, for themselves, to realize what their boundaries are, what their limitations are. Listen, I've got a bunch of kids at home. I've got to spend time with them. I've got to help around the house. I've got to do my work at work. I've got to do my stuff in order to do self-development on myself. But everything is interrelated, and I understand my time is limited. And if I don't take advantage of every moment of my day, it then all goes away. Yes, I could restart tomorrow, but then it all goes away. It all frays. It all affects each other in each area if I don't take advantage of each part of my day. And the last one, you've got to educate yourself. You've got to be aware of who you are, whether or not you're playing to the victim mentality. And we all do it to a certain degree, right? And it's okay, but it's not okay. Because if you want to become the best version of yourself, you've got to get out of it. Thank you for joining me for Motivational Mondays. We'll see you here next week.